2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Streggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but I am your host for today because I decided to subject my other film guests here to a movie that I think is a very much groundbreaking science fiction film of its time. It had a lot of firsts happen in it. And it's a film that was filmed in 1956. It was directed by Fred M. Wilcox, which, if you know anything about Fred here, he directed the first Lassie film that was out there, and that goes beyond like this the series or whatnot. I think it was Lassie and the Painted Hills is what one of the films he directed. But this film, like I said, was a lot of firsts. Firstly, because, well, it was a very much and is thought to be a very loose adaptation of William Shakespeare's The Tempest. Firstly, but there was Robbie the Robot, which this is the first robot that was more than just mechanical tin can and legs, and actually had a personality. So, the first robot that you see in any science fiction movies ever that looks and even remotely sounds like a human being. Okay. Also, this is the first movie, science fiction movie that depicted humans traveling in a man-made, faster-than-light starship. And it was also the first to be set entirely on a planet orbiting another star, far away from Earth and the solar system. So these are a lot of firsts. So this movie actually made a lot of groundbreaking firsts for science fiction movies. That being said, let's head over to you, Boris. What were your thoughts on this film?
Well, yeah, this was, as you probably imagined, the first time I saw the movie. And I will definitely admit for the time period when it was made, it was quite impressive in terms of not only ideas for all this science fiction stuff for that time period, and the way they managed to portray it all on screen without looking okay. We can't say it looks quite realistic, but for that time period, it does look very good. But one issue I had with the movie is that the story was kind of moving forward very slowly until the first human character got killed, which was more than an hour into the movie. So that's my major issue with it. I felt it took a little too long to get really suspenseful, but overall, I'm glad I saw it. At least the last 30-40 minutes were interesting enough in terms of the story, and yeah, like you said, for its time period, it does deserve to be paid respects for what they did.
Another thing that it had a first for, it was a groundbreaking soundtrack as well. It was the first ever to use an entirely electronic musical score, courtesy of Bebe and Louis Barron. Whenever you heard the monster uh, do its footsteps and whatnot, that was all electronic. So, and
Oh,
everything like that. To me, the music kind of helps carry the film forward in my mind. But uh, in any case, is that pretty much your first impression then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tammy? Did I introduce you to this movie, or I'm trying to remember?
I think I might have seen it before you. It just um it would have been just like one of those movies I saw. I most likely probably saw it with my dad, but it would, you know what I mean? It would have just been like, oh, another sci-fi movie. It was you made it more of a big deal, I guess, when I saw it, when you made me aware of it, and then, I paid more attention to it, I guess, when I saw it with you than I probably did the first time I watched it.
Ah,
I'm sure I saw it before you. I mean,
Huh.
I'd be willing to bet that my dad probably played it, knowing him.
well, and I should mention that the captain of our ship here is played by Leslie Nielsen, which later in life he became known as a comedian in many movies. So seeing him in a serious role is also to me was a first when as well. Um, so were you finished with your
Huh.
first impression, dear?
I was gonna say I did enjoy it. I mean, I ended up buying it, so I'm not that's where you and I differ a bit, you know. I would say 99% of the stuff that I own, I bought it because I liked it. You know, that other 1% is maybe things you gave me and things that okay, but most of what I have, I bought because I liked it.
Yeah.
So it
Mm.
made an impression enough on me that I went looking for it and bought it. And I bought a good copy of it because mine's the Blu-ray and it has that other movie on it too.
Well, yeah, it's the 70th anniversary edition. I ended up going a little bit further and getting the Steel book that came out around the same time. So,
But yes, I did like it. You know, it's like you said, there's a lot of firsts and stuff with it, and you know, like I said, you know, maybe the first time I watched it, it was just, oh, another sci-fi movie. You know.
well,
I have more respect for it now after watching it with you and finding out more about it.
I'll mention.
Interesting.
I first got into this. My mom managed a resale shop over in Mequon called Tesseract Arts and Crafts, which was a very unique mom and pop shop that taught fabric painting and did stuff with stained glass, and uh, it was run by a older couple, and the husband he did metalwork, so a lot of his metalwork was outside for people to see with his stained glass material, and their daughter Louise, we kind of connected over books and stuff like that and movies, and she had 3 science fiction movies on a VHS tape that she had me borrow, um, or at least watch while I was there. And the first of the first one was Forbidden Planet on the tape. The second one was Ray Harryhausen's The First Men in the Moon, and the third one was the first adaptation of any Dr. Seuss film in science fiction history, The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T. So it was a very weird uh, feature films to watch in a row, but that was my introduction into the science fiction genre. Um,
Ooh.
I was very young at the time. I think I was like 6 or 7. So to me, seeing this at the age of 6, and it was uh, way before they even like upgraded the coloring and made sure that everything looked more sharper and clearer. Um, it was a unique experience for me because it had that VHS quality, and I liked it. Um, and later on in life, it is like one of my favorite science fiction films to this day. I mean, even my first and favorite film is a science fiction film, but I won't get into that. uh, but yeah, I enjoy it, and I'm glad to introduce it to you, Boris, because it I think it's kind of a staple feature in the science fiction genre. If you haven't seen it, you should at least see it once. And there's a lot to it for it being a very small budget film.
Oh, true.
But let's go into the plot here. It is supposedly the 23rd century, set in the 23rd century. And after more than a year's journey, this starship by the name of C57D, it arrives on a planet by the name of Altair 4. And it is supposedly there to determine the fate of the ship, the Bellerophon, which was evidently originally sent to this planet 20 years before. And evidently it had crashed there too. So,
It has put down.
When they get there they are warned off by Dr. Edward Morbius. That he doesn't think that they should land there. They should go back whence they came, because it's too dangerous. Um, and so in this very beginning, you see. I think it's interesting that their ship kind of looks like a UFO. What you would think
Mm,
is a UFO, to be fair and honest, if we built a ship like that, then we would be the ones that would be the aliens, wouldn't we?
yeah, well, yeah, I kind of thought the same.
So, what do y'all think about the ship in general? Um, I think it's kind of interesting and unique on the inside. They show a little bit of the inside, which is takes up part of that slow period.
Well,
That
the inside looks really cool and with that technology and stuff. The outside, like you said, it looks like what we would normally consider a UFO. You know,
yeah,
Yeah.
but the inside looks cool.
yeah, and they got a viewing screen like you would see on like Star Trek or something like that, which was definitely a few years later than this. And I guess
Ooh.
you would you actually see uh, almost like your first version of a transportation device as well, where they actually get transported from the ship to the ground with that green glow, as well when they land, and you hear that uh,
I didn't
the
take that they didn't when they landed. They went into that thing when they were landing, but it didn't actually take them anywhere. They were still on the ship after the glow stopped.
okay, so it was
It
almost
went.
like a radiation thing.
That's what I took it as. It was stabilizing them for landing, and then because they had actual steps and stuff going up into the ship.
That's right. Okay, so that was a little weird. Uh, 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 well, to be fair and honest, whenever they made science fiction films, oftentimes they would cross into areas of the unknown. So who's to say that you might need a machine to uh, deradiate, deradiationize you to be able to go out into certain areas or whatnot of a planet, and they say that this planet is Earth-like, but they find almost no one. Um, when they're scanning the planet or whatnot. So they're quite surprised when they hear from this Morbius character, which they don't know his name right offhand, but he's basically stating that you know I don't want you to land here. Go back. Yeah, basically, uh, even the doctor says something like, "Well, I guess that's the welcoming committee." So, um, I do want to say this: Walter Pidgeon is the actor who played Doctor Morbius, and Francis, I believe, plays Altera. And of course, Leslie Nielsen plays the Captain John Adams. But it's Adams and Jerry Farman and Doc Ostro, who are initially, once they land, they are met by Robbie the robot, which he then transports them to uh, Morbius's residence.
Yeah,
And
they really got a kick out of when Robbie pulled up. They were watching him get there. He was like, "What kind of a machine is coming?"
well, what kind of a madman is that? Because he kind of shows up like the Roadrunner,
Yeah.
a cloud of dust.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that.
But once they get to Morbius's residence, that's when he tells them that all the other members of the expedition had been killed one by one, and an unseen planetary force was what had killed them. And with the Bellerophon, the ship being vaporized, and the last survivors trying to escape, it was only him and his wife, who Morbius later claims died of natural causes, and their daughter were somehow immune to this um, planetary force that had killed them. Now, Morbius does offer to help the starship return home, but Adams says he must receive further instructions from Earth before he even does so. So, what do you think of Captain Adams, Dr. Morbius, his daughter Altair, and Robbie the Robot as characters?
Ooh, I would say Altera was very good in multiple different aspects. She was definitely very good looking and quite possibly the most interesting character. Now, when it comes to human characters, I must say I was since this was the first time I saw the movie and they were all wearing the same uniforms with hats and stuff, I was kind of struggling to differentiate them from each other to pick up on who is who. So yeah, that part is a little difficult to answer.
Well,
But
I could distinct at least the three officers um, that went initially to the Morbius's residence, at least. And I actually recognized the guy who played Quinn, the dude who was evidently fixing a machine that was on the ship, and I think he died. He was the one who died like the second night. I think Quinn was played by a guy who played in a television role as the $6 Million Man. The guy who, I don't know if you know the television show The $6 Million Man, but I think he played Oscar Gold on there, on that show. The guy who basically the $6 Million Man reported to.
Oscar Goldman, yes.
Yes. So I recognize that character, but for some reason I don't know why, but I recognize the cook too, the one that basically went to Robbie and that and got him to make him all that whiskey. But other than that, I couldn't tell anyone apart. Also, but you could tell that there were quite a few men on board. I thought that there was definitely a little humor amongst the men too, because that there was this one moment where I think one of the machines magnetized and was messing with one of the men when they first landed and got their gear out. and the magnet like drew the man to the magnet, and the men were laughing. So
yeah, I remember that.
They
That
did
was
that
a
on
fun.
purpose to mess with him.
yep, they did that on purpose to mess with him. So it's not like they didn't have like without their sense of humor. I think because the material was so um, serious, they needed a little bit of humor, and there was a little bit of humor too when it was just between John Adams and uh, Altera too. Um, he certainly didn't expect her to be entirely naked in that pool eventually.
Oh, definitely.
But so, what do y'all think about the atmosphere of the planet?
Oh, well, it was more or less Earth-like, but maybe a little fancier.
Well, I thought it was definitely seemed like it was a lonely place to exist, and there was definitely some desert and sand.
It seemed very deserted except for their area.
Yeah,
I mean, very,
Well,
very
yeah, but
deserted. I mean, especially when, you know, when the other animals show up, it's like, well, where were they before they came here? Because everything looks so desolate except for right here. So where
right,
did they come from? You know, you didn't
right.
see. I didn't see anywhere where a deer and a tiger could hang out. You know.
oh, good
Yeah,
point.
I didn't see where either one of those could hang out either. So, and I do believe that there was a small monkey in there
Oh
too.
yeah, the little
Like,
monkey.
where the fuck did the little monkey come from? I know I noticed that this time around it was like I don't remember seeing that monkey, but it was there.
Yeah, well,
I
the
mean, yeah,
monkey was
that is
cute.
almost like a big question mark. What this movie is because it's like, where did these animals come from, other than when you just saw them in that area? You know, because it didn't look like there was anywhere for them to be other than that area. You know,
Yep. So
True.
and it's not like you saw like uh, a herd of deer or like a bunch of tigers or a bunch of monkeys. You saw one and one and one. You know.
well, and our captain gets a little frustrated when he finds one of his lieutenants that was along with him placing moves on Altera, and he goes and tells her, "Hey, you shouldn't be wearing that type of clothing around my men." Well, and she gets a little perturbed over why he's, it almost seems like he's yelling at her or whatnot,
But
and
she didn't know any better. She's totally naive, like her father said
to
when he
human
first
customs.
when the men when she was first introduced to the men, her father even said she hasn't seen any other humans except for him. She doesn't, you know, she had no idea how she was supposed to act in front of anybody,
Yep.
or she
So
didn't
when
know.
Jerry Foreman told her that kissing was a form of saying hello, that was she took it as truth.
Yeah,
So,
some health practice or whatever.
but um, so when Captain Adams gets all angry at her, that's all new to her too. So she takes an instant dislike to him at first. And then she tries to adhere to what he says, and then he's still a little hostile to her. So I feel like when they finally did kiss, she did kind of like warm up to him, and he to her, and that became the general love interest of the movie. Of course, they have to have a love interest, but ultimately, I guess after they that first introduction of Morbius, they go back to their ship, and overnight, uh, the equipment on board was destroyed by some unseen force, and supposedly there were men awake and on duty and watch. And Adams is very disappointed in his men to have this happen. So when he doesn't get anywhere with his men, he goes and speaks to Morbius on the subject, and he's like, "It's as I feared. You guys should have turned back when you did. It's happening again." And it's soon that they ultimately learn that Morbius is there to study this ancient race of the Krell, which apparently it was a very highly advanced race that mysteriously perished in a single night 200,000 years before. And evidently there's a machine that he can use for enhancing his intellect, which almost killed him. But after he survived from using the machine, his intellect had doubled from whence he originally had. So he was technically supposed to be smarter.
Which explains how he actually made Robbie, because the crew, the captain and the crew were all surprised about Robbie and that he made him, considering what his background was. He did not have a background or schooling at all in what it would take to make Robbie.
Correct.
So obviously, he had bolstered his intelligence using this machine. Otherwise, he would not have been able to make Robbie.
Well, yeah. By using this machine, he was able to find the schematics of how to make Robbie exist, and stuff. Which is actually kind of cool if you think about it, because Robbie can do a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, actually, he does bear quite a bit of resemblance to, well, at least in terms of functions, to how we imagine these AI robots might work soon enough.
Yeah, I think he said he had about 348 languages or something like that.
I think he said 187 maybe, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was in the 300s.
No, it was 187.
Okay, it was 187.
Because when Robbie first pulled up to pick the crew up, he started talking to him, and he said, "If this is not your language, I can speak 187 other ones. Let me know."
Okay.
Yeah, now the ironic thing is, if they didn't understand English, they wouldn't even know that he was offering to speak in other languages.
True. But knowing that they were human beings from Earth or whatnot, I figure if he spoke regular English, they would be able to understand.
Most
Well,
likely, if they
okay.
would not have understood him, he probably would have started picking from his other languages, just trying to get them to understand him. He probably wouldn't have. He put that out there. If you don't understand me, I da 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 da. But if they didn't, he probably would have continued in it. Trying different languages. I
Yep.
think it was.
Uh,
I think it was more or less for our benefit of watching it that we knew that he could speak 187. So
That there is a moment where he shows them uh, his security measures, which he waves his hand over a specific like electronic thing, and all of a sudden, like these black doors show up all across all the windows, which I thought was kind of unique because I hadn't seen anything like that before in any movie before this. Um, and then I think it's a very early movie to show automatic doors like that to lock over windows or whatnot. And I'm assuming that's Krell metal that showed up around the whole place. And he shows them how Krell metal is to their blasters as well. It didn't even hurt it at all when they put their blasters against the metal. I thought that was a very interesting unlocking mechanism that he opened the doors and closed them with. So, what do y'all think about the Krell metal and the way the Krell the things that they built looked? Because when he took them a little bit deeper into the complex that they were in, uh, and he took them on that little elevator thingy that brought them forward. Did you see those many different levels of things that went down into the ground?
well, yeah, he said, it was when they got off, it was like 20 miles this way, 20 miles this way. There was like 4,700 levels and things like that. I know, it was just like, what? It's like, um, yeah, the metal was very impressive. I wish I could have that on my truck.
Then, if you crashed into one, you would come out like all okay.
And it wouldn't rust.
Right?
Yeah, uh, I actually thought all the stuff designed by those Krell looked really cool, and it kind of made me wish we got to know more about what they were like. We got only bits and pieces of information about them, but not really enough, like what they looked like, what their whole lifestyle was like, and all that. They left it all very ambiguous.
Uh, yeah, but I think we learned enough about the Krell to just wonder. The fact that it makes you wonder means that it did its job. um, the
Well,
fact
I
that you
thought
want to know more.
supposedly they didn't have problems, like humans are used to with like crime and jealousy and this and that and everything else. They had eliminated like I think what he said, all the negativity from their planet is what it was, which
means they were a very peaceful race.
right. But when we get further into the movie, you'll get that ends up being their downfall.
Yeah, it ends up being
So,
their downfall because they forgot about their subconscious mind.
right.
Which is something that comes up, which is the monster. The monster of the movie is, in fact, almost as similar to the beast that we get from the Jekyll and Hyde movies and the story of Jekyll and Hyde. You know, that terror that lies within our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is it. Sometimes they say that you are your own worst enemy.
Yeah, well, the concept was quite interesting, especially for that time period.
I keep thinking about that moment when Atreyu shows up to that mirror and the little dude that does the has done all like the historical research on the Oracle. He's like, this one makes men scream from it. They find out who they really are, and sometimes it's scary, you know. So, but yeah, I thought that the creature was very interesting. The fact that it ended up being Dr. Morbius' subconscious that was killing, and they found that out. And I kind of feel bad for the doc because he goes off on his own and goes to that machine and tries it out. But
yeah, that kind of left me wondering if Morbius could survive that thing. Why couldn't that doc?
Well, he went on for it for too long. He also didn't know what he was doing when he was doing it. I have a feeling that the professor there was at least smart enough not to use it as much as the doc was forcing himself to. I mean, the doc was trying to find answers, so I don't really think he had the impulse to stop while he was on the machine. So he had no idea. He had no idea the danger he put his mind in, and you know, some people are stronger. I feel like the professor might have actually been strong enough to survive, and unfortunately, they all were. His subconscious mind, in the back of his mind, he didn't want them there, and he didn't want to return to Earth, and he was very jealous of, you know, the fact that Altera wanted to go back with them, and you know, I don't think he wanted to be alone, and once he was told that it was very possible that, you know, the monsters of the Id were in fact him. Then it dawned on him that you know, how could you? At first he couldn't believe it, you know, himself, and then he was like, could it be? Could it be?
You know what else I was left wondering? How was it possible that while those men were fighting the invisible monster and some of them got killed, how is it possible that Altera saw it all in her dream? For a moment I thought that meant that the monster was actually coming from her rather than from her father.
No, I feel like because Altera led a very sheltered life, and yet she was very, very smart in whatever her father taught her. Okay.
Yes.
It made her a very pure person intellectually. Um, I feel Altera was very empathetic, like she was an empath. Uh,
Okay.
so her mind probably she saw things in her dreams because her mind was pure. Her mind hadn't been tainted with the evils of humanity, you know. So I feel like she was very in tune with things telekinetically, almost,
Oh.
because she hadn't been subjected to that much human contact. You know, she'd grown up very specifically, almost like she was in a test tube. You know,
Okay, but how does that make one clairvoyant or something?
Tammy, maybe you can explain a little bit.
Well, I think because she was the way she was brought up and everything, like you're saying, she just got that pureness and everything about her. That's why she could connect with the animals and everything because she was so pure and everything. So
Oh yeah, and what was that about that one tiger suddenly attacking her?
because I think that the tiger wasn't actually, I don't think, going for her. I think he was going for the captain because he was considered
Territorial,
a threat.
considered a threat because for all it knew, it knew only her. So having this other creature show up with her, uh, never seen him before in his life. You know, tigers are very territorial animals. If it's only been one trainer dealing with it for most of its life, anyone new is a threat. So it got jealous and thought that the captain was a threat. So it attacked them, but they made it seem like it was attacking her. I think it was attacking him, but she took it as he's never done that before. He's never tried to attack me. You know, I don't think it would have attacked her on when if she was alone. I think it attacked towards them because Captain Adams was there and he was a threat to him. And
Huh.
technically, a tiger is still a wild animal. You cannot entirely keep them tame all the time. It's just like any dog or cat. They are, yes, most cats and dogs these days are groomed to be household animals, but that does not mean that it couldn't take one moment and they could go psychotic.
Oh, yeah, makes sense, I guess.
You take on that responsibility if you take on any pet. Um, my grandma, um, she had a Rottweiler, uh, and his name was Macho, and I believe he was only 3. And my cousin had visited for the first time since my grandma had gotten him, and towards the end of her trip, she decided, oh, he's being all nice, and she reached down to pet him, and he literally went ballistic because because no one ever gets in a space like that. Well, he bit her face, and she had to have stitches, and they had to stitch her face back up. Of course, my grandma said it made her smile a little better, but because she always pouted a little bit, but still, because the dog had bitten her, she had to put it down.
Well, that's I would say unfair.
Yes and no. Because I don't think my grandma had kept up with his shots is why she had to put him down. But also, if a dog bites someone, that's even worse than when a cat bites someone. Which I won't go into cat stories right now, but because we just had
Well, okay, but I mean, it's not the animal's fault that a human touched it inappropriately and caused it to react the way it did.
It is because, well, I guess it's not, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, if it's gonna do it once, it might do it again. So that's the unfortunate thing. Do you really want to put yourself in danger or someone else in danger again of having that happen? And that's what you got to look at the end of the day. Once an animal can do it once, it can repeat the process, and it could be worse the next time. So,
so the next time Melissa might take your mom's whole hand.
I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I don't know what she'll do, but we definitely do have to keep a better watch on her next time. Once an animal learns how to hurt someone, it means that they can use that knowledge and do it again even worse.
But in Melissa's defense, though, in her situation, she got scared. She was protecting herself, and your mom even said she got scared. It was not her fault,
Correct.
And Melissa is, quite a bit different than a Rottweiler.
But
as far as temperament and damage and everything.
In the same respect, that's what Macho did. He got scared. He didn't know what she was going to do when she reached down to him. I mean, it's just like getting into anyone's personal space. If you put your hand towards your mom without saying anything, what is she going to do? Is she going to tell you what the heck are you doing, son? I mean, people.
Possibly slap you.
I mean, if you start walking towards your dad and stick your hand towards the space, what is he going to do? Without knowing what you're doing, what is he going to do? He's going to react, and some reactions you aren't prepared for. I mean, if you go towards someone without telling them that you're coming towards them, they'll get defensive, and you might get a smack or a fist to the face.
Indeed.
Humans do that too. They react, and that's one thing that has to do with boundaries. You just don't go into other people's boundaries unless they know and are willing to let you do something.
That makes sense, yeah.
But in any case, that's pretty much the same thing as the tiger. The tiger, oh, well, the tiger thought the captain was in his space, so he wanted him out of it. You know, anytime the tiger was in the vicinity of this pool, it was always with his mistress. Well, his mistress had somebody else with it. And he felt like he was there to harm her. So, of course, he went into attack mode.
Well, I googled it while we were talking, and apparently someone said on IMDb that it was Alta's sexual awakening after her kiss with Adams that changed her in a way that the tiger became aggressive towards her, like it would have towards any other human. So that's someone else's explanation, apparently.
That's a possibility and someone's opinion, but it's a good one to bring up. You know? The kiss could have been threatening to the tiger. You know, for all he knew, the captain was sinking his teeth into her.
Yeah.
I mean, when you do kiss a woman, your mouth opens. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But in any case, so after that, I do believe eventually they do have the conversation after the doc dies. Um, Morbius uh, gets into that whole doom speech, and all of a sudden, Robbie the robot notices that there's. Well, you mentioned that the monster showed up at the ship. Well, that happened, and you actually got to see what the monster kind of looked like. This fiery, monstrous looking thing, and it eventually killed one of their operators, Quinn, that was trying to fix their machinery. Um, and then apparently, while they were at the Morbius residence, it started to come towards them. So Morbius put up that security thingy with the metal that goes over the windows or whatnot. And they went deeper into the Krell thing. Went to that. Went behind the Krell metal and basically hold themselves up in that room where that machine was, and you keep hearing the doom, 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 coming ever so closely. And you see the Krell metal is melting. You know.
Oh. Yes.
So, of course, Adams is telling Morbius that this is his monster. He should face it, and whatnot. He's like, no. And of course, I think Morbius dies, and somehow they get back up on the ship. I don't know how they. Oh, because once he died, the monster died with him. So, but I
Oh,
think
yes.
I hear you typing.
Oh. Oh. Actually, this is not me. No, I'm not typing.
But in any case, I do believe the monster actually the monster from the end, his subconscious mind actually made a hole in the wall of the room, and they were able to escape that way. But I guess I think was Robbie the robot on the ship with them at the end there.
Yes, I believe so. But Morbius had set up a destruct before
Yes.
they left. They had to get 100,000 miles away or whatever.
Yes.
So
So they had to get away from the planet. And the planet self. Well, he set up so that the whole Krell thing was to self-destruct. And that was quite an explosion to see from their monitor or whatnot. It's interesting that they didn't feel any repercussions, or the ship didn't shake when it exploded, because normally if a ship actually, you know, is that close to a planet, especially in Star Trek, when it explodes, what is it, you always see an after effect like come towards them, and whatnot.
well, I think they got far enough away because they were counting
Yeah.
before it went off. Okay, we're this far, we're this far, we're this far, you know. So
Yep.
they were counting as to how far away they got.
Yep. So at the end of everything, I believe this is the end of it, and Altera is on her way to Earth with them, and Robbie the robot evidently was able to get on board with them. That's pretty much the end of the movie. You expect that they get to their destination, and they were able to save Altera. So, at the end of everything, what did y'all think about the production overall? Boris, what did you think?
Actually, as I said at the beginning, seriously, where is that noise coming from? Because it's really not from me.
Oh, the static. That's what ends up happening whenever I'm on my phone. I don't know why.
Oh, well, okay, but that's not. It sounds kind of like typing, but it's not me. Not this time, at least. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, I think the production is really very good for its time period. Maybe, like we said before, it maybe doesn't make much sense that if humanity was able to build spaceships, that we would actually make them look like flying saucers. But other than that, it was really cool how they managed to put it all together that way back in the day when there wasn't CGI, AI, whatever we have nowadays.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say it all looked really good and quite imaginative, very well thought out and put together on screen. I'd say in terms of production, it was really good.
Okay. What about you, Tammy?
I thought the production was really good. Like we've touched on already, for its time and everything, it didn't have all the technology and stuff we had to have today, and I think they had a great imagination for things and did a good job. I mean, just like when you first start seeing the first couple times you see the monster, you know how they made it all staticky like that. And you just kind of like saw it outline. That was like really neat, you know. Or
Well,
and then
unfortunately, even when they originally had it on like VHS or whatnot, uh, it didn't look as great as it does now because of the remaster. When they did the 70th anniversary, they went back and retouched colors and added things to it.
well, I
Since
understand that, but it's
yeah,
the idea you could see that outline. You know, that was neat that they how they made it, what they thought, how they thought to make it. You know, and then when they were making we were talking about that when we were watching it, how they made the footprints, and then how they made the steps. You know, from move, not move, indent or whatever as the monster went up the steps
yeah,
and everything. You know, I think it was um very smartly done, and you know, people had a great imagination and everything for it. It was definitely ahead of its time, I thought.
well, yeah. I would even go so far as to say that they almost did it from the monster's point of view at times because of showing the footsteps and showing it going up the stairs and stuff like that. That you don't see that happen in the 50s as much as it did in this movie. You know, um, I mean, granted, for creatures and from the Black Lagoon, you had the man in the suit and stuff like that. The Invisible Man, well, uh, in a way, it was like in the vein of that,
I think
just
they
a
could
little
have
bit.
used a little bit more of an imagination for the outside of the ship
Yeah,
than they did, considering how much of a great imagination on all the stuff they came up with other than that. So that's where I think they were lacking a little bit there, because everything else is so neat and so new and so, you know, before its time, except for like what the ship looks like on the outside.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
a freaking
it looks like
flying
something that
saucer.
we would think that would come and destroy our planet. You know. So,
Yeah.
but in any case, um, I I thought that when I first saw this was a very smart and intelligent film that I saw at a very early age, and maybe I didn't understand all of it at the time, but as I grew up and as I continued to watch this movie, I I was fascinated with it because um, for it's especially when they remastered it with color. They remastered it with so much love and respect that they gave it color. They gave the uh, monster a little bit more creativity, and they even gave Robbie the robot a little bit more electricity, which I thought was unique. You didn't see that much color when it was originally on VHS or whatnot.
So
In fact,
this movie was originally black and white.
well, it's been black and white. Let's put it that way, but it's also been in color. Um,
Who?
I saw it in color. I've also seen it in black and white. Um, but it was a lot more fuzzier. Let's just put it that way. The the Krell, where you see them walking around there, that was a lot more fuzzier, less distinct. The lightning that whenever he Robbie the robot shot at them and he couldn't do it. Um, that lightning didn't look as blue and vibrant as it does now. I believe the monster looked like quite faded in that electro field that they had put up. A lot of it just looked fuzzy, just because of VHS quality. Maybe when it first came out, it was a lot more vibrant on screen for a drive-through movie. But after a while on VHS, the color fades, over time. So, I think that's what happened. The fact that I saw it then and still loved it is a testament to its own thing, So,
Yeah, definitely.
but I enjoy this a movie, and like I said, I enjoy the soundtrack too. What do you guys think? Do you like the music that goes along with, and the sounds of the monster?
For the most part, yes, it was just that one background sound that was recurring really often throughout the movie. That was kind of not always, but in some situations, it was irritating me because it kind of felt out of place. I'm not sure how to describe it now if you don't know which sound I'm referring to. But for example, at the very end, when Altera was already on the ship with them back to Earth, and they were playing that sound, which was kind of like as if they were still trying to maintain some unsettling atmosphere, as if they were trying to keep us thinking that not everything was resolved, that something still wasn't right after all. That was kind of the feeling I got in the ending scene because of that
Like
sound,
maybe
which
the subconscious mind monster was on board the ship while they were heading home.
yeah, it kind of sounded as if they were trying to imply that, but I guess they weren't, since we didn't end up seeing anything like that happening.
Well, the possibility that you thought that means that to me, did its job. So the fact that it makes you wonder and makes you want to know the other stuff that you claim to think is important to know. Uh, like knowing more about the Krell. Well, I think the mystery of the Krell is kind of what keeps me watching the movie, because each time I watch it, it's like I see something different. Like this
Oh,
time around, I didn't notice the monkey that came in and Robbie shoot it off, or whatnot.
interesting.
But in any case, um, now I guess we'll go to favorite scenes and/or favorite characters. So, Tammy, let's start with you. What was a favorite scene and/or favorite character? Um, and if you could think of any other science fiction movies that you've seen, are there any that you like other than this?
My favorite character is Robbie. Favorite scene. I guess my favorite scene is the you don't know anything about what this creature is or what it looks like or anything yet, but yet you can see the footprints and you can see it going up the stairs and you can hear it, but you can't see it.
Which is exactly the reason why you dislike what is that monster movie that seems other people seem to like?
Cloverfield.
Yeah, Cloverfield.
Yeah, no, that's not. It's nothing to like. Cloverfield was like a found footage thing, and no, no. This is real science. This is real science fiction. This is no.
I'm just saying that the exact same
No
reason why you like
comparison.
this movie is exactly the same reason why you hate Cloverfield.
No comparison. Favorite science fiction movie?
Yeah.
Close Encounters.
Okay. That's a good one.
And yes,
Okay.
and the first time I ever watched that, I watched that one with my dad. That one I know I did.
Alrighty. Well, how about you, Boris? Favorite scenes or scene or favorite character?
Favorite
And favorite
character.
science fiction movie that you've seen to date?
Oh, favorite character probably Altera. Uh, favorite scene.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Well, Robbie was indeed cool, but yeah, I couldn't help liking Altera the best. And favorite scene, well, maybe when they were fighting that monster outside, when it was. When it was somewhat visible with all that red light, and they were fighting it. The way it was killing people there was kind of morbidly funny, kind of like some Spudao moment. But I did also like the part where we found out the real origin of the monster, because that was really quite imaginative, and the final fight against the monster was also cool, even though I was kind of sad that Morbius had to die because he wasn't doing the whole thing on purpose. So I felt kind of sorry for him. And my favorite science fiction movie, aside from this one, well, can I go with some Star Wars movie?
Yeah, if you want.
Oh, yeah, then it would be one of those, but which one? Definitely not one of the last three. Um, well, okay, maybe A New Hope or Return of the Jedi. Now,
Ah,
aside from that, yeah, aside from that, I do somewhat like the sci-fi genre, but I'm not like a huge enthusiast for it. So I'm trying to think which other. I'm trying to think which other good sci-fi movies I saw, because Star Wars is a too obvious choice, right?
well,
Uh,
if you like it,
uh,
you like it. It doesn't matter to me. Um,
uh, yeah. uh,
how about just
What?
both New Hope and Return of the Jedi?
Fair enough. And if we go something more obscure into sci-fi, I do like some of these sci-fi horror movies revolving around AI. For example, I recently saw a really cool one called Subservience. There was also an obscure one called Amy. I liked that one. Oh, and did we do the movie Megan on this channel?
I thought we did.
Oh, then we did. Yeah, I remember watching it. I just wasn't sure if I watched it for one of our discussions or just generally.
Megan. Megan is more horror than science fiction, but I get why you consider it a science fiction movie, because
Mm,
it has to do with an AI robot.
Yeah.
But it's more of a slasher horror film than in the sci-fi genre. It's a very mild to me sci-fi.
Indeed.
It's just the new generation of Chucky,
Well,
except
yeah.
a female version.
True.
But okay, so my favorite character is Robbie. I get a kick out of the robot, and honestly, Robbie the robot, the build of it kind of went from I've seen that type of robot, and then I've seen a robot on an episode of Twilight Zone that was very similar, and then also Lost in Space, the original 1960s version had a version of the robot as well. Because to me, they kind of like changed over time, looked different each time, and so on and so forth. Yeah, as far as favorite scenes, I would have to go with whenever the monster showed its footsteps and bent the stairs and showed itself in that force field and whatnot. I do enjoy the end. The end. Not sure if I would call it a battle because they just ran and hid and let it come through the door, and I guess the subconscious mind didn't care that it killed its creator, or who it was attached to. But I guess I sort of enjoyed the pool moment when Anne Francis came swimmingly naked up out of it. But that being said, if I had of course, I will always choose Killer Clowns from Outer Space as my favorite science fiction film.
I somehow forgot that one, but
That's
yeah,
that's
now that
also
you
like a horror sci.
Well, it basically is a science fiction comedy horror. It is it is a horror movie too, but it balances everything quite nicely. It's science fiction, comedy, and horror. Yes,
If
it
you say
has
so.
the slasher type quality, but the kills
It
are
has
unique.
quality.
Yes, it has a lot of quality.
Okay.
now tell me, why do you hate Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
She hates
I just
clowns.
don't care for it, and I don't like
She hates
clowns.
clowns.
Ah,
She hates clowns.
There's only one
Basically,
clown. There's only one clown I like.
me.
oh,
No, the original Pennywise.
I was about to ask jokingly if you were referring to that one, but I was sure the answer would be no.
Nope.
Killer clowns from. I'm not. My first answer will never be Star Wars or Star Trek. Although Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan rules, I have to say that. That is one of the best Star science fiction movies out there.
The original War of the Worlds.
The original War of the Worlds wasn't bad, but if I had to choose another like film from this era, I would say The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original.
That was good.
Oh, Tammy, may I ask you something?
Huh?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Buddy the Killer Thing?
Oh, I've watched the Killer Clowns more than once. I will not watch Buddy ever again.
I'm sorry. I just I find it funny how much you dislike Buddy the Killer Thing. So
I
I
actually do have a copy of Killer Clowns myself.
Well, yeah,
oh
but you keep thinking about getting rid of it.
No,
oh
it's on a 2-pack or a 3-pack or something like that.
It's on a 3-pack, yeah. I
So
think it's got Spaceballs and The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai on it.
something like that. At least there's a couple good movies on there.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space is the movie to have on a collection. And that's saying something, since I have a copy of the game now.
Yes, thanks to me.
And I have a copy of 3 of the clowns, action figure wise now.
Oh, you should have watched. Too bad you weren't watching Sven last night, because they were doing. He was doing flashbacks, and there was people dressed up as different characters and stuff. It was a costume contest.
Yeah.
And somebody was dressed up as Shorty.
Oh, the little boxing one, huh?
And he looked exactly like him. I mean, exactly. It's like, and here we have from Killer Clown Shorty, and I'm looking at it.
I'm gonna be honest. That one's my favorite clown out of.
And I was like, "Yep." All of them. I said, "Yep, that looks like Shorty."
What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?
Like I said, I can deal with watching that. Okay, I've watched it since it's David's favorite. I've watched it many a times. That I can deal with. So, but my one and only favorite clown is the original Pennywise.
I guess you could say another film I somewhat like as a science fiction film, if you really want to put it that way, because at the end of everything, Killer Condom.
Oh, come on.
Did you say Killer Condom?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
It's stupid.
I believe you. I believe it's stupid, but I also believe that's exactly why it's hilarious.
It's stupid, and that's exactly why David likes it.
It's a German subtitled film, and it was a film that was picked up by Troma. So, and then not too recently, maybe a year or so ago, Vinegar Syndrome put a nice release out on it. So,
technically, Godzilla movies are sci-fi, monster sci-fi.
Yes, Godzilla. Godzilla, I would have to say, is a science fiction. King Kong, more fantasy adventure.
I like Godzilla.
The original, I would have to say the Godzilla movies are. There's this one. It's so cheesy. I don't remember which one it is.
I thought we figured it out, but
I don't remember the name of it. But you can tell the dude in the Godzilla costume is having fun because he's jumping around, acting all goofy, and it's just hilarious to watch.
And the funny thing is, I don't really like watching movies that you got to read, but I'll watch Godzilla movies.
So know that for the future.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of subtitle, but I'll watch Godzilla.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, hopefully you, ladies and gentlemen, have enjoyed our discussion on this film. If you have not seen it, it's a gem, and you definitely should watch it. For those of you who dislike black and white, which I don't understand you people, and who don't, but I guess to each their own. But
Well,
like,
this
share,
film
and
is
subscribe.
available in both, right?
I'm not sure if it's available in both, but I have seen it in both.
Sorry, which one are we talking about now?
Forbidden Planet. I know it's been in black and white before. Okay. Or maybe I saw it on a black and white TV.
Good question.
I could see where I could have seen it that way, because I grew up in the era where black and white TV still existed.
So did I.
Which says something about my age.
I had my own black and white TV for a long time.
But which is why I don't seem to think having something in color is a necessity. So
Makes sense. I vaguely remember seeing a black and white TV somewhere when I was a really small child, but I don't remember anymore who had it.
Well, for me, I like a lot of the older horror movies and stuff, and a lot of those were in black and white, and I think having it in black and white actually made it look more scary.
Interesting.
You know.
Yep. So like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film, what you thought of our discussion, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Have you decided yet,
Boris, are we going to be continuing the Toxic Avenger, or are we going to go back to doing the Ring American thing,
or something else?
Okay, well, I've got a question. How many Toxic Avenger movies are there altogether?
There are 4 and an animated feature.
Oh, well, that's quite a lot. So if I chose the second Toxic Avenger now, then I would probably have to choose them all in a row. I mean, I wouldn't technically have to, but
not necessarily.
David had suggested if you wanted to go back and forth between that and the Ring, he had suggested that. So,
yeah, well, that's an option I'm kind of considering. I was thinking maybe I could pick the Ring for next Sunday, and then next time Toxic Avenger 2 or something. I would have to see about that. But like I said, if you think you would be bored with the Ring, I can choose Toxic Avenger. It's not a problem.
Whatever you want, dear. It's your choice.
Yeah, let's do the Ring American version, and then we'll do the Toxic Avenger 2 the next time on your turn.
Okay, fair enough.
That way we do the one that you really want to do, and then we also continue down the line through. Well, technically, this is our first foray into the trauma world of things, and I know I have a ton of the trauma films on hand. So if we wanted to uh, cover any other trauma films we can. So
Who?
I've it's just a lot of the newer ones that I haven't picked up.
Makes sense.
But I've picked up a lot of the older ones and some of the ones that he's turned to Vinegar Syndrome to let them remaster. So, but in any case, I'll tell you one thing. I started to watch. I started watching Dragon Ball.
Wow.
For the Japanese anime.
Yeah, I know about it. I was watching some of it as a teenager. Not all of it, not nearly all of it.
Well, I recently picked up Dragon Ball, the movies that had to do with that series, Dragon Ball Z, and the movies that had to do with that series, and then Dragon Ball GT. Just to watch all of those. Still have to pick up Super, and Kai is just a reimagining, supposedly, of Dragon Ball Z. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to get into that one. But
Are you considering choosing any Dragon Ball movie when it's your turn?
Oh boy.
Actually, you'd be okay, Tammy, because they're not subtitled; they're dubbed.
Ah.
I don't like Japanese anime.
Ah.
I know. I'm not sure whether I'll do that or not. At least not right now, since I'm going to be just going to be watching the series for the time being.
Well, have fun. I remember liking it quite a bit when I was a teenager. Although, truth be told, I know it's many people would say it's a shame for a guy to say this, but I was a lot more into Sailor Moon than Dragon Ball.
Well, I've got a nice bootleg set of at least up to a certain point in Sailor Moon. So if I wanted to watch that, I can. Somebody had a nice five things set of. And this is weird because it is a boot, and yet the discs are actually printed.
And what is the video quality like?
The video quality is as if they had just transferred it all from VHS, but they made their own. They made their own menus and everything, and it's actually pretty decent quality. So
I will catch you guys next week. We're watching the.
In fact, so if let me do the outro, and you'll probably be able to sign off from here. So, in any case, everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Where are you?